the music has changed a little bit, but yeah, we'll assume that we are now on the air. Welcome to Platos Cave, coming to you from Australia, the land down under, for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. We're in the chat room as well, so get on in there. Comment is there always. Comment is always there. Lavender streams, of course. Very nice. Home. It's good to have a home, and it's even better to have a home for ideas. And that's what Revolution Radio is. It's a home for ideas and conversations and opinions. You don't have to like them, you don't have to agree with them, but it's certainly worth listening to them. So, in order for the station to continue its tumultuous existence, it needs money. And since it doesn't get any money from anyone but you, the listener, we ask you to please donate if you can. Any kind of currency is good, including crypto, of course. Gold, silver, diamonds. You know, if you get some emeralds, I'm fond of emeralds. I don't know why. I just like the word, I like the idea of an emerald. Crazy, right? Anywho, maybe you can't donate. That's okay too, because, like I said, times are tough all over. In that case, just tell people about the station. Maybe you can tell them about the Platos Cave and Chinese Hideout and others. Yeah, that'd be good. Today is, in fact, the 27th of March, 2025, which means we are a quarter into the year. And Christmas is just around the corner. You can catch the cave. Yeah, you think I'm joking. You wait. You turn around twice and it'll be Christmas. Catch the cave on the air, on the line all the time, and on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace table at digital radio. Archives are free. Another good reason to donate if you can. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we're broadcasting. For me, it's the Darak people here, and for Dave,
it's the Dark and Jung.
Thank you, sir, and we'd like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Another hour of the cave awaits you. Good morning, Comet. Good morning, Dave. What a wonderful day. Angelic Ruthless Fascist. That's a great handle. In the chat room, Dave, there's someone with the handle Angelic Ruthless Fascist. That's
nice.
Since I've seen. Where are we? Well, it's a good question, in fact. Where are we? Well, I can tell you where the Palestinians are not. That's in a good spot. They're not in a good spot. You know how Zelensky and Putin agreed not to target, I guess, each other. So certainly Putin said he wouldn't target Ukrainian energy infrastructures.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he has targeted Ukrainian energy infrastructures 8 times since they agreed not to target them. eight times. And now he wants a ceasefire in the Black Sea. Why?
He wants to move his stuff around.
Because that's where the Ukrainians have been kicking his butt. The Ukrainians, I have to say, I was actually astonished. I'll be honest, I was completely blown away. The Ukrainians have been sinking a lot of Russian ships in the Navy, Russian Navy ships in the Black Sea, a lot. I didn't see that one coming at all. And what we're seeing here is Putin is not at all interested in a ceasefire. The ceasefire in his head, Dave, that he wants, is a ceasefire where he gets to keep everything he has now, maybe a little more, that'd be okay. Zelensky has to call elections, and hopefully he's displaced in his head. And no Europeans, or no NATO troops, I should say, set foot into the Ukraine. The Ukraine will never join NATO. And
that'll be Putin's terms, yeah. That's
right. Oh, yeah, completely. And eventually, Putin is going to attack the Ukraine again when he has sufficiently recovered. So, why do I say this? Because it's exactly what happened before. So, I am not some great prognosticator or prophet or soothsayer. No Nostradamus in my shirt under my blouse. No, we know, because that's his playbook. I don't care which way you flip it or flop it. That's the playbook. But is there any other craziness?
Oh yeah, but let me throw my 2 cents in. Okay, so Putin, no doubt, will say no peacekeepers, right, from anywhere else. Oh, I've got 3 news stories up here. It's really funny. Trump accepts King's invitation but stops short of US peacekeepers in Ukraine. Oh, I'm going to put my teeth back in. Will Australia send a peacekeeping force to Ukraine? Which is interesting. This is on the ABC in Australia. And the UK to send 600-strong battalion to Kosovo.
To Kosovo?
Oh, actually, that was 2008. That's all right.
Yeah,
but,
that makes a lot more sense.
It does then. So you need a time machine. So I know Keir Starmer said he commits to peacekeeping for 99 years in Ukraine. So that, I don't know what's going to happen. I think Albanese is just trying to please everyone because there's an election going to be called any minute. Yeah. So you're right. I'm not sure which way this is going to go and whose players are going to be part of it. But you and I know how dangerous it would be to have an emergency meeting of NATO and join Ukraine to it. To send anyone's boots on the ground officially from any other country into Ukraine. That would be very bad.
But at some point, and this is really when we're talking appeasement here, right? Because again, this is exactly like what happened just before World War II. How far do you take appeasement? I mean, we let them take Crimea, we let them take Chechnya. Nobody did anything for the Chechens, Now let's say we'll appease him and he'll take Ukraine, which, by the way, I don't think the Europeans are going to do. And not only that, they've recently, just today, in fact, I think, published their war plans. We'll get to the war plans in a second. But they have published their, preparations. What they're going to do, they're going to have stockpiles of this, that, and the other. They have now asked their citizens to have stockpiles for 72 hours in their homes.
That's right.
In Europe.
Which country?
In general. No, Europe.
Yeah, that's right. And they've handed out survival manuals to everyone in Europe.
And Germany has just wanted to increase its defense spending significantly, and other countries are following suit. Mm-hmm. So, and funnily enough, Turkey is really supporting the Ukraine as well. In fact, Turkey and Poland seem to have come to some kind of agreement, which is really interesting. So there's a lot of movement, and the key thing here is the key takeaway is that the Europeans have finally realized that they can't count on America at all. I mean, the damage that's being done right now to the relationship, and again, it's everybody's prerogative to do what they need to do for their country, but the relationship, which has existed for a good 80 years now since World War II, is being destroyed. The relationship with Canada, America and Canada, is being destroyed. It's just a bit odd. And we're also seeing the relationship, because now the Australians are wondering, and this is us here in Australia, right? Is America really going to come and help us? And the answer is no. No, they won't. They're not going to come and help us because, why? We have no cards. We have no cards. And that's why Albanese, rather than, I don't think it's all election rhetoric. I think there's a good chance that we will put boots on the ground for peacekeeping efforts, not for war efforts, peacekeeping efforts. But you have to ask yourself this as well, right? So we're in AUKUS. Australia is on the AUKUS agreement, right? Just fresh off the press. So far, Trump is, he didn't say it's no longer valid, so which means it's still valid, I assume. Now that's Australia, the UK, and the US. The links between the Europeans and the UK and the US are no longer as strong as they were. I don't think that AUKUS is long for this world. If it doesn't take anything to do, like if it doesn't cost Trump to do anything, he'll keep it. But as soon as there's any cost to him, I think he'll just jettison it, because he's just got $800 million for us, down payment to the submarines, which we will never get. Mm-hmm. We will never get these submarines. Okay, I'm just going to say it here. We will never get these submarines, ever. But nonetheless, there we are. And I think that Australia has a choice to make. We can align ourselves with Europe and, help the Ukraine and have closer trading links with the European Union, etc., or, much more controversially, align ourselves with China, or in general in the greater Asian region, right? Because our biggest trading partner is China, by far, and it makes sense. The proximity, would dictate that. So, I don't think we can count on the U.S. under a Trump administration in Australia. We just can't. And I don't care if it's Albanese who's elected or Dutton. We'll get the same treatment. We didn't get any special treatment for any of the tariffs. And as you know, Dave, your birthday is good. Is it your birthday? I think it's your birthday when
no, that's on the... So the tariffs come in on the 2nd, but that's the 1st for us. So,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Liberation Day. I think there might even be a public holiday now in the States, Liberation Day. And it's interesting to see it as well. And I'd like your take on this too, because recently, as you all know, there was this whole hoo-ha about the Signal app, and is it classified, is it not classified, should it have been used? Like, I think we can all agree that you probably shouldn't use that kind of app.
Yeah.
But what I found fascinating, because I watched way too much YouTube over the last little bit. But from the left, from the right, from everywhere. I mean, I love to watch the comedians, because and I especially love what's his name, John something.
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart, because he's funny and he's not. You might think he's left. He's not really left. He's not really right either. He hates stupid people, right? He's right up my alley. That's true. So he's a hater of the stupid. But so I've been watching a lot, and I watched. This was from a news. Might have been Fox, might have been CNN. I don't know. But essentially, it was Donald Trump responding to the Signal. It's called a fiasco because it's a fiasco.
Fiasco.
And he didn't really care. He didn't talk about it much. He was, the strike was successful. Look, I don't really know much about it. No, he's the president of the United States. He should know something about it, but that's by the by. But he immediately, and this is where his mind is, we have to realize this, right? He immediately started talking about all the economic and business initiatives that are running. He's not interested in this Signal thing. I don't even think he's interested in national security. What he is focused on, maniacally focused on, is the economy. And unfortunately, it's a 1950s economy that he's focused on, right? Bringing manufacturing back and on all kinds of things, and putting tariffs on things. And apparently he believes that these tariffs, which could be true, it could add another $1 trillion to his economy. Now, if he thinks like this, so let's just unpack this just for a second. Now, tariffs, he wants Americans to build cars in America. This is specifically cars, but other things too. So he wants Americans to buy American. Okay. But at the same time, he expects Americans not to buy American. They will keep buying imported cars, and that will bring him an income of $1 trillion. Now, that's a lot. And that'll hurt people a lot that are buying these cars, the imported cars, right? And these are not luxury cars always. It could be a Toyota, it could be a Hyundai, right? And still you have to pay a lot more for it. But the thing is this: what if the car that you want to buy isn't made in America, right? It's the same with the steel and the aluminium. Americans internally do not make enough steel or aluminium for their own use. They don't make enough. They're not going to import it because they necessarily want to, or it's a lot cheaper, or it's because they don't make enough. So it has to come from somewhere, right? Now, all of these things mean that Americans are going to pay a lot more for stuff. A lot more. Okay? Now, a half-smart person would have sat down, looked at the economic panorama, the economic landscape, and looked at certain things. Now, where does it make sense to introduce tariffs? Now, it makes sense to introduce tariffs for anything that is actually made in America. So if there's a competing thing coming in from China, right, that is also made in America, then tariffs make perfect sense. And you're pushing people to buy American. Great. If there's no American equivalent for whatever, right, could be anything. It could be avocados. Then you have to pay more. If you want that thing, whatever it might be, and it's not made in America, right, then you have to get it from somewhere else. You have no choice. Okay? I'll give you an example. I like German things, and so I grew up with them, so I buy certain German goods because they're not made here. Like sausages, for example. I can find some good sausages, but only from German butchers. But then imported stuff, there's something called malt beer. It's sort of like root beer, but not really. And nobody in Australia makes it. So I have to get it from Germany. Okay? And there's a specific kind of syrup made from sugar beets. Not from sugar cane, from sugar beets, that I like very much. Nobody makes sugar beet syrup in Australia. I have no choice but to get it from somewhere else. All right? And this is the same situation for a whole bunch of stuff that is going into America, of course. If it's not made there, then Dave, what do I do? Really? What do I do, Dave?
Plant some beets.
Plant some beets.
All right, so I mentioned it on Tuesday morning. Good morning, by the way, to everybody. And can I please ask everyone to subscribe to our Rumble channel, please? Please do that.
Shameless self-promotion.
Oh, no, it's for us. It's not for you, it's for us. Please, if you can.
No, yes, I mean, us. Yeah, we are promoting ourselves shamelessly.
That's right. Damn straight. Now, I have to say something here because, like, I know it's a very long time ago that I was living in California. There was a healthy mix back then. I don't know the percentage, but by eye, there was like maybe 70% US-made vehicles, 25% foreign-made. A lot of Beamers and Ferraris and things like that. It was a nice area that I lived in, right? And the mix now is different. There's a lot more in the way of imported vehicles. I saw, because you've got Toyota, Hyundai. I'm not going to say Hyundai. Mazda, Nissan. These are all the Australian pronunciations of those cars that you love so much. Think about what it looks like now, what the landscape looks like. It's probably 80-20 the other way around. 20% US made. Probably. Because all the really good brands are gone. They don't make cars anymore. All the ones that, even that Holden that we shipped over there, the SS, that disappeared. That was never advertised and completely failed. It's a shame because you love them now. You love the cars that we can't make anymore because $700 million was too much to our government. Anyway, I say this because Hyundai has thrown into the ring a $21 billion to expand their production facilities, and really, I think we don't see what the deal is. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be completely tax free. That's my guess.
Probably.
I don't think there's gonna be anything in it. Yeah, but except for right now we're on, and you're right, Mickey. I'm gonna get to why you're right. So we're on the cusp of full automation, and I mean non-human production. Non-human. Not a single human, not even managing not even turning the lights on, because these will be dark plants. There won't be any lights on. I know of some places that are full robotic, and think about Amazon, your America's very own, let's say nurtured baby, now in its more than its teens, it's in its 20s. It's now doing everything it can do in lights off premises. Crazy. It can do it. And that's what can be done. Thinking about how Hyundai was the first to jump on to the bandwagon, you might see every manufacturer turn up there, because, look, if you can go in there tax-free and sell your cars at cheaper than everybody else, then everyone else joins you. You've done something great to manufacturing, except it won't be to the human advantage. Soon, very shortly. I think all the things you're right, Meki, about this, 1950s thinking about bringing manufacturing back, it won't actually help the US as its workforce. The workforce won't benefit the way that you think it would if you did it. It's like when Amazon comes to your town. It's come to my town. There's now a factory. I think there's 3 people that work there. That's it. There's a whole bunch of contractors who do deliveries around the clock, and they're just, I think the roads, there's more traffic now on the roads from Amazon deliveries than there are people employed in there. So what does the economy look like if you're running them tax-free? And it's only a guess. It's an estimation. I'm just spitballing here. What does it look like in comparison to what it is? If say GM, say Chevrolet, but it's not really Ford, right? So if GM and Ford start to complain, are they going to get tax exemption? Is it only for the new people coming along? What is going to happen? And that's just automotive. But you think about every single thing else that there is.
That's a good question.
So Meki's right. The cost to consumer, because it takes a couple of years to stand up any factory. It's not instantaneous. It can't be done like tomorrow.
Nope.
Meki and I have talked this about and bandied about ideas and timelines, and at least 10 years. We mentioned this during COVID. At least 10 years to stand up a facility and to have it operational. You might do some dry runs and some, it has no output, but everything is there and everything's, just in time. All your automated processes and all the robots bring all the parts to the production line just at the time that they're needed. In fact, if you've bought a car in the last, say, 3 years, and you get a website and you get to customize it, and because I like cars, you choose the seat trim, the color combinations. If you wanted a checker with red on black leather or whatever you want. Each one of those items, customizable before the beginning of the manufacture of your car, are available to change. They're available to change. You've said, I'm in this band, so you get this amount of choice. If you're in the lowest band, then you don't get very many choices. I want a radio, great. AM only, yes. But that type of automation that brings the part to your serial numbered car being produced, like it's in the olden days, they would just do a day of white cars, a day of red cars, a day of black cars. They would just, because changing the spray heads in the booth for the automated spraying of a car is crazy. You don't want to have to clean out all the lines. You just want to do these runs. So at the moment, they're able to do some crazy amounts of automation to make all this perfectly seamless. So, how will it affect everybody else. Meki's right again with the cost to the consumer, because the tariffs on imported means that price for that thing you want just goes up. That's just the nature of the way that goes. We know here, if you wanted to buy, they called them luxury cars. You didn't buy a luxury car in Australia built by Australians, let me tell you. See? We didn't even have a brand that was a luxury car. Toyota made Lexus because no one ever believed Toyota was a luxury car. Lexus, you knew the quality of the car by the name of the car. That was really important for that. I've seen some Japanese limousine, I think they were Nissan or Toyota initially back in the late 80s. And they were specced up. They were like the Mercedes standard, but coming out of Toyota. They had superchargers. They had, every single button you could possibly want to push ever. And it was primarily a driver driving and the passengers in the back, no one in the front. But anyway, apart from how that might affect the economy, I'm thinking timelines, you've got resources, how can you source all the raw materials, smelt those raw materials, or change their status to be installable. So if it's a screw or a bolt or a nut, they've got to be machined, forged and machined. Engine blocks forged and machined. There's a lot to stand up. In Australia, when we dismantled our automotive manufacturing facilities, there was probably 30 times the amount of income generated by all of the sideline industries.
Oh, yeah.
Who makes the gaskets?
It's a massive impact.
It's huge.
Yes.
You take the thing at the top away, but there's a mountain of support that keeps that up there, and it's hard to establish it, but it's also hard to replace it. So, even military equipment has parts coming from all around the world. And
the thing is this, right? Let's say you start manufacturing in the United States. Right? Like I said before, America does not make enough of the materials that it needs to manufacture. It doesn't make enough, so it has to import it. But all of those imports are subject to tariffs. That's right. So, will you get a cheaper American car? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, which is really funny if you think about it, right? Because the tariffs will hurt you if you're coming or going, right? The funny thing is this, though, and this is really funny. Donald Trump said today, in like I said, he was asked about the whole signals thing, but he really liked it, and he said, any car made in America, and you take out a loan to buy it, the interest payment on that loan is tax deductible.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right, that's what he said today. Now that's actually a huge incentive.
Well, I'm not sure if it's federal, but people with a home loan can also claim their payments as deductions.
In Australia, we can. I don't know about America, but certainly in Australia.
But that's for negative geared property.
That's exactly what it is. And trust me, right now, I used to be positively geared, but I am negatively geared now. I prefer positively geared, to be honest. But yeah, so that's the look. There are a lot of good ideas here, right? And the execution is lacking, and I think there are a number of reasons for this. I think the key reason is this, Dave. I think, notwithstanding that he might not want to leave the White House, I think he knows he's only got limited time, right, to do what he wants to do. Okay, irrespective of what else they're trying to dream up to make him, like a emperor for life or whatever.
Oh, emperor, like that.
Whatever they come up with, whatever it is. well, whatever shenanigans they have up their sleeve. But so he's trying to push a lot of things through, and look, I get it, right? It's not easy, but this kind of change, it reminds me of what Stalin and Mao tried to do to the respective countries. So both Stalin and Mao, Stalin more so because he was pressed and he knew that Hitler was coming for him, they tried to pull their countries out of an agrarian feudal system into the modern industrial nations that were around at the time, like Germany, France, Great Britain, etc., right? Killing millions.
I was going to say, how well did that go?
Oh, look, they Stalin achieved what he needed to achieve, which was to fight Hitler to a standstill.
Mm-hmm.
He did manage that, right? So kudos. On the back of millions of citizens, literally. And, so what Trump is trying to do, right, it's a multi-generational activity. It's not a tomorrow activity, right? It's not even a next year activity. This will take a lot of time to do right. If you want to do it right. I mean, if you don't want to do it right, fair enough.
Let's call it, if 10 years is the thing, it's 2.5 presidents.
Yeah. So it's really quite something, right? And you can't force it through, because in the short term, in the medium term, the American people will be much worse off than they are now, right? So and they're already seeing it. It's starting, Dave.
Accomplishing it organically, it's one way, but pivoting so quickly, so rapidly,
that's tough. That's a tough.
Changes the way that it can be done. Yeah. And increases the impact. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish him all the success, because, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems we have in Western society is, in fact, the problem we created for ourselves with which is offshoring. We've offshored everything, much to our chagrin. I mean, this is just silly. We did things that we shouldn't have done. But
I'm blaming the Lima Agreement from 1973.
It certainly didn't help.
It didn't help. It was the start of that.
Yeah. So it's a problem, and we created this problem for ourselves, right? And you can't reverse it in a hurry, because the corporations, which might have started out in America, right? Have gotten so used to their insane profits, because labor is cheap. I mean, how much do you think it costs to make an iPhone? Really?
Oh, I don't know, less than $100.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Less than $100.
Yeah.
That's how much it costs to make an iPhone. How much do people pay for iPhones, Dave?
Oh, about between $2,500 and $3,000.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the rest is not all transportation costs.
well, because the cost of the manufacturing of the item is zeroed while it's in transit.
Yeah.
Through some lovely math.
It's actually crazy, completely.
I know
insane,
you know
the
that
profits.
Yeah.
You know? And as soon as you move iPhone manufacturing, I'm just picking on iPhones, could be anything, but as soon as you move that to the United States, the profit margin is going to shrink massively.
It'd be like shooting a bullet at the ground. That's how quickly it's going to plummet.
But again, and this is very important to understand, as I mentioned earlier, Donald Trump doesn't care. Why? Because he's never been in that business. That's not his business. He's a real estate developer, right? His work, if you want to call it that, can't be offshore. It's not. You can't. How are you going to do that, right?
Oh, we can build the building in a cheap place and then float it over. How's that sound?
That's what you should do.
We can buy the land somewhere else and bring it to the US.
Yeah,
I'm just making it up. I'm trying to make a joke.
He has no sympathy for these people, though, that make their money this way, right? And it'll actually, I think he'll face some stiff opposition, the more he pushes for this. But it's certainly, again, in my opinion, it's a worthwhile thing to do, but it's a multi-generational effort, because it is entrenched now. And again, if even COVID, with delays of up to a year and sometimes 2 years of shipments, right? if that didn't push us to manufacture locally, then
Which
good
we
Lord,
talked
what
about,
will?
and we're shocked that no one was addressing it.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like it. Because honestly, I don't know if you remember the shows from back then, but Dave and I thought, you know what, look, this will definitely change the way we approach
Supply chain. That's right.
supply chain, and definitely they're going to bring it closer to home. This is the time to do it. Nothing.
Not at all.
Nothing. I rather wait 2 years for my stuff than pay 1 cent more. Right?
That's right.
That's pretty much what they were saying to us.
I had a friend of mine that ordered a car just at the wrong time.
Poor guy.
And the chip in the dashboard couldn't be sourced.
Was good.
So instead of having an electronic, key fob, they had a regular key. Like a physical key.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
Dimly.
Yeah, dimly. So I've got on the screen, Mackie, I've got the press release from February 24th, 2025, that Apple will spend more than $500 billion in the US over the next 4 years.
Ooh.
So that's the entire term of Trump's presidency.
Yeah.
That they wish to, it says, teams of facilities to expand Michigan, Texas, California, Arizona, Nevada, Iowa, Oregon, North Carolina, and Washington. Plans include a new factory in Texas, a net new one, doubling the US Advanced Manufacturing Fund, and Manufacturing Academy, and accelerated investments in AI and silicon engineering.
But they have to. There are only 2 ways to make this viable for Apple.
Mm-hmm.
One, everything is going to be automated. I mean, everything.
That's right.
So you don't need workers, right? That's normal. So then there are no jobs, right? That's one. 2, they're massively subsidized by the government.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way in any world this can work. Because they're in the business of making money. They're not in the business of losing money, okay? They're not going, out of the goodness of their heart, they'll all of a sudden start to manufacture in America. Oh, why? Because we're patriots.
Yeah, they're not simping the US. What they're really doing here is... but these are part of the agreements we don't see and we don't hear about, where corporations have agreements with governments.
Yeah. And this will be interesting. I mean,
I reckon it'd be 1-to-1.
Look, I don't know, possibly. I mean, that would be super expensive for the American government.
Mm-hmm.
And who pays for that? Taxpayer.
The taxpayer. That's right.
Always the taxpayer.
We're guessing here that I'm assuming there's going to be a co-payment to help them stand up, because they would have gone, oh, we're so poor we couldn't possibly afford to do any of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh, look, we're helping you, Donald. You help us now, right?
Yeah.
And again,
so we want tax exemption entirely.
Yeah.
And we want some new loopholes so our product is still free.
Yeah. And you know what? We're not going to create any new jobs because workers are just too cumbersome. It's all completely AI, automated, and robotic, and that's how we're going to make money.
They're starting their total automation of their factory.
And that would work if you could completely automate it, right? Mm-hmm. And it was driven by AI. Every function, it has to be every function.
That's right.
Then yes, you can start manufacturing in America, but you're not really manufacturing in America, are you? You're not. You're just you're making stuff, yes, but you're not creating jobs. And the whole idea with this entire initiative, right, that Donald Trump is driving, it's not just about making things in America. I mean, that's good. But unless it creates jobs, what's the point? Why would you? What's the difference?
I think only the materials sourced possibly have labor involved in them.
Oh, maybe, but ultimately, this is not a return to the boom of the 1950s. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
oh, hang on, extra, read all about it.
Mackie's a naysayer.
No. I'm talking about the kid on the street selling newspapers.
Oh,
which doesn't exist. Printing presses, all the paper industry, the paper mills, the sawmills, the loggers, everyone in that whole chain to be able to get a newspaper onto the street.
Yep.
That's all gone. There isn't any.
The infrastructure is, if you wanted to ride a horse and buggy in New York all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in order to do that, you have to get feed for your horse. You have to have somewhere to stable it. I mean, as for everybody to do that, it would be completely impossible. Why?
Do you know how
Because the
expensive it
infrastructure no
is
longer
to have a
exists.
horse?
Yeah, exactly, right? You can't. It's no longer feasible.
I thought building like a project car was expensive.
Huh.
But that's
Forget it.
nothing compared to a horse.
You want a horse?
I know horse owners who say it doesn't matter how much money you make, you just turn your head and point your wallet at the person that says they need money for the horse,
Yep.
and you open it and they just take whatever they want.
Whatever's in there, my friend.
That's it.
And that's the truth of it, right? Horses, especially horses,
used
are
to be
extremely-
cheap.
It's insane. It's completely insane. But
I hope lady horses listening to this.
it's the same though with anything we've discussed just right now. The infrastructure is no longer there. You have to build up the infrastructure, right? And the critical component here, or two critical components are: number one, I don't think there'll be a lot of extra, jobs created. And number two, I don't think it's going to be all that much cheaper unless it was subsidized or whatever. If the raw materials that you need to make whatever it is that you want to make in America are tariffed. Okay?
Yeah, you couldn't do it.
You can't do it. It's not possible. And that's why there were exemptions recently, like you mentioned earlier, Dave, around some of the car manufacturing things. Because the car manufacturer said, well, Donald, we in order to manufacture in America, I do need some stuff from Canada. Steel is good. Aluminium is good. Just get American steel. Donald, we don't make enough of it. Oh.
That's right. Well, there's also talk about expanding now and digging up their own resources.
Do you know how long it takes to build a mine?
Yeah, because my brother-in-law is a mining engineer.
Yeah, and I happen to have done a lot of work for Rio Tinto and BHP and whatnot. Decades, at least years, though, depending on the size of the mine, etc. It takes a long time to. First of all, you have to find the stuff, right? To dig up. That's the first thing. Tick. And then you have to start building the infrastructure.
Oh, but wait. I love the permit to go find it, and then the permit to dig it up, like to establish something to dig it up.
Yeah.
They're all really red tape.
Oh, a lot of it. Now I'm sure he could cut through it and make it easier, and that's all goodness, right? But that there's still reality to consider. And sometimes you can't just throw money at a problem. And a real estate developer doesn't understand that. So in real estate, the more money you throw at a problem, the quicker you can fix it. Right? Just pay people more or get more people to build whatever.
That's right.
But some things, and this is sort of where he's falling down a little bit because he doesn't have that expertise, right? Other things are completely independent of how much money you put into it. You probably still have to put a lot of money into it, but it doesn't really matter, right? If something takes a certain amount of time, then that's just how long it takes. And even if you put $1 billion into it, it'll still take that long, unfortunately.
That's right. I've seen that before.
Yeah, and it's just how it is. And there's no way around that. There just isn't a way around that at all. And he, unfortunately, doesn't fully, I think, realize this, and the people around him might not realize this, because he's surrounded by tech billionaires, right? What do they know about manufacturing or mining or anything like that? Nothing. They know nothing about it. Okay? Like literally nothing. They're completely useless in that space. So I predict a lot of pain for Americans, a lot of economic pain, and there's this whole signal. I know we didn't spend much time talking about it, but this whole signal thing is just, I just want to say, you do not use unsecure forms of communication, full stop. Full stop. You just don't. because they're unsecure. Okay, that's why you don't use them. And I don't care. Oh, we just did it for this and we just did it for that. It's actually irrelevant. You cannot use it because you don't know who is compromised. Did you know that the German magazine Der Spiegel has found the phone numbers, email addresses of all of the Trump administration on the dark web?
Probably.
No.
I already assumed that it's all there.
Yeah. Now, the thing is this, right? There was a journalist inadvertently added to this. Forget Signal for a second now. Just let's focus on the actual thing here, which is the only reason we know about this is because this gentleman from the Atlantic, right, the chief editor, was added to the chat. If we hadn't been added, we wouldn't be any the wiser, right? And you know and Peter Hegseth and all the other guys would have probably had a better day than they had otherwise. But we wouldn't have. So you have to ask yourself, well, how did that happen? Forget Signal. Forget that. Forget whether or not it was classified information or not. Ask yourself, how is it possible that a person that is not part of the administration was invited to a conversation of the administration? That's the problem.
Yeah, so that's a problem. Who was it that added them to that?
Oh, we know who it was. It was Mike Waltz. But he says, oh, we all do that all the time. You just inadvertently add people that you don't know to a chat. What? No,
you don't.
No, you don't.
Right?
But that's what he said on national
not.
TV. That's exactly what
it's Mike Waltz. So, the concern is that Mike Waltz had that person in their chat, like in their Signal group.
He must have been a contact. He must
already. That's right.
It's inconceivable that he wasn't a contact of some, in his phone. You
can't do it otherwise. Yeah, the app
doesn't have. Oh, maybe the app does. Maybe it's a really spooky tool. It just adds people randomly from the.
I know that's nice and that supports Walls, but I don't agree, and I know you're joking. I use Signal and I have WhatsApp and I have a whole bunch of things. One of the things that the app doesn't do is you can't just type a name in. It's got to be a contact.
Yeah.
So they must already have that person in their phone.
It's funny, right?
That's just the way that goes. So it disturbs me, Mackie.
Yeah.
Like how many other politicians have the people in there in a secure, let's call it, not sensitive, top secret secure, but in an encrypted chat. How many other have that?
Yeah, but the thing is this, right?
And what are they leaking?
That's the key. That's why I think this is the key issue. Forget encrypted, not encrypted. Forget Signal or not Signal. That's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that somebody who shouldn't have been added was added, that is the key issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key problem here.
Totally.
Everything else is completely irrelevant. Okay. Well, not completely, but
well, no, because they were having discussions over a non-secured platform, like militarily secured.
Yeah, but again, you could argue, it wasn't really all of that, and the arguing wasn't really all classified material. That's fine. I still come back to my original thing, which is, how did this guy get added?
That's right.
To me, that is what needs to be. That's why there has to be an investigation. No other reason, right? I'll be honest with you. I don't really care for any of these people. If they live, die, whatever. I don't care. If they're dismissed from their job or not, doesn't really make any difference. I'm not even living in that country. However, this is now affecting our security, Dave. If we share classified information or any information or whatever it might be with America, right? And then some person gets added to some kind of chat, and all of a sudden, the Chinese are knocking on my front door, right? That's a scenario I'd like to avoid, if at all possible. So, and by knocking on my front door, I mean they're invading us, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because if you cannot, mean, this is pretty much the only thing you really have to control is who comes to your chat. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. That's your job. Your job is to control who is in the chat. That's it, right? And then you can argue whether or not it's secure, or you should use Signal or not, or whatever. I don't care. But control who you're talking to. That's it. Control
I'm not sure that Mike Waltz or Michael Waltz is long for his role, because Mike Waltz is under fire after leaving Venmo list public. That's 2 hours ago.
So
3 hours ago, he says he takes full responsibility for the group chat.
And good on him.
Well, yeah, that's. Yeah, I'm glad he took it. He took the heat for it, but I don't think he's long for the administration.
No, he's not. And the thing is this, right? So he resigns or whatever, and that's goodness. But the thing is this: this is what we know about, right? Not only that, but he must also be a contact for the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's correct.
He must be talking to what's his name? Whatever his name is, Gottlieb or something, whatever.
Whoever the guy was.
I'll tell you who it is. Blah blah blah. Mike Waltz. So he's the guy, and then he's talking to
Jeffrey Goldberg.
Jeff Goldberg. Yeah, the editor in chief. So there must be a relationship, right?
I
mean, I don't have the number of people in my phone that I've never met. That's called. I don't even know what that's called, to be honest with you, Dave.
I'm sure there's a name for it.
But I don't have it, and I know you don't have it.
No.
And yet he did, right? And the question is, well, okay, right. So are you like like Deep Throat? Are you like a source for? And Mr. Trump wouldn't like that very much.
No, not at all. And that's where I'm going with this. So Mike Waltz, just for everyone, if you don't know, for a time stamp here, he's a former Army Special Forces officer, an author and a politician, right? National Security Advisor.
Yes.
Under President Donald Trump. And for him to add this guy in is so inappropriate. It's not even funny. He should know way more, way better, and have not done it. And that's what I think is the most disturbing thing. And I'm only asking the question here, how long till he steps down? Has anything else occurred that we don't know? Is going to be questioned all over, the media and the internet. There'll be people in their lounge rooms and basements, their parents' basements, talking about this for a while. And has anything happened in the past, in his entire career? Has there ever been a story that was leaked? Was he the leak? They're really good questions to ask, because I don't know and I don't have any answers.
I completely agree, and this is really the important thing, right? And more importantly, even is how do you ensure that this doesn't happen again? Because this is not something that, again, I'm talking about security relationships with your allies as well. Why would they trust you now?
Well,
they can't trust you.
I suppose they shouldn't.
No, they can't. It's not possible. If there was classified information now out there, would you really want to share it with the United States? I don't know. And again, this is probably more like a point of etiquette. But should you really be emojiing when you're, calling in lethal strikes?
No.
You know what I mean? Is that appropriate? Yes, it's the enemy, but there is such a thing as decorum. I mean, maybe that's out the window as well. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm living in the past, Dave.
We are. Remember gentlemen's rules?
Yeah.
What happened to
that? Remember, Well, what happened? Good question. Excellent question. I want to say they still exist. I am probably wrong. Like when you got into a fight when I was a child, when I was young, right? There was a schoolyard fight.
Sure.
There's certain unspoken rules you adhere to.
Yeah.
No shots to the crotch.
That's right.
If you're a girl, no no hair pulling or
Yeah,
things
that's
like
right.
that, right?
Yeah,
You
sure.
stayed away from the eyes, all the
Yep.
things like that would cause permanent and grievous bodily harm.
That's right.
And I don't think
It's-
that still applies these days. I don't think it does.
I dare say it doesn't. Street fighting is a different thing. Even children.
Yeah.
Look, we've only got
nuts.
1 minute left, Mackie. Believe it or
Oh,
not.
jeez. Time is not our friend. But look, I want you to think about some of the points we've raised here. Signal, no, I don't care. I don't care a hoot about whether or not this was classified information, war, attack plans, doesn't matter. One, how did this person get at it? And also, what else has happened that we do not know? That should really be questions you should be asking yourselves in America, right? How did this person get at it? Can Walls sensibly still be in his position? Now, I don't blame Hexet at all, because he didn't add the guy.
No.
Right? Should he have shared the stuff on it? Well, you can argue that till the cows come home. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. The problem is, if this happens again in the future and there is classified stuff, like actually like serious stuff that causes a lot of damage, then there's an issue. And that's the music. Hey, this has been Platos Cave. Thank you so much for listening to us, spending an hour. The hour flew by in my book anyway. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't go anywhere. Something awesome is going to come up. I'm sure you can catch us on Sunday or Saturday night if you're in the States for Shiny Side Out. We're going to continue with Mind Control. There's some really interesting stuff, including Mind Control patents. But most of all, Dave,
be safe.